Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Grumpy Tonight. It's Uncle Grumpy, and we're here tonight with Dr. Lawrence Pasternack. Lawrence, let's make sure we got everything going right before we get too far into this. How are you doing today?
I am. I'm doing all right. I hope everybody sees me fine. I think that I'm dealing with a bit of a lag for some reason I can't understand. My internet feed is fine, but I think maybe Zoom is just a bit laggy. I've had a busy day, and I'm very worried about one of the bills that I raised concern about a couple months ago, and I kind of assumed that it wouldn't go anywhere, but it's already passed the Senate.
Okay, well, there's a little bit of jump in the video, not enough to worry about, but you actually look better than usual. You got that light turned off, so you're not so white. You almost look like, well, no, I don't want to go so far as to say you look like you got sun, but you're darker than usual. You're not quite as washed out.
Well, bear in mind, I have three jumbo monitors. I have a 43-inch monitor and two 34-inch monitors. And so it's like a big wall of white in front of me. So I use three different monitors for work. I see 7 people have joined. Let me say this to everybody who's joined so far. There's something really concerning in one of these bills that could be disastrous for businesses and for patients. That is like a poison pill that if it becomes law, it's a real problem. So, let your friends know that something's up tonight that we really need all as a community to get together to be, to deal with.
That's his way of saying, share this video, please.
Hi, Janice. I see you saying you see us. Thank you very much.
What's that?
I'm looking at the comments coming
Oh,
in.
okay. Sorry, I've got a dog over here going a bit nuts. I'm dealing with. Dina, settle down. All right, she got herself let outside. I think that's what she wanted. Okay, well, let me share this to a couple places. If I can figure out the best device to do that from. Sometimes Facebook switches stuff around so much you never know what's gonna share right and what's not. Sometimes you
Yep.
have to copy the
Hi,
text.
Norma. I see you're
Sometimes you
watching from Little
don't.
Axe. Any of you who know a dispensary owner, please tell them about tonight's show. If they can join us now, that would be great. I'd like to see some live comments, but there is effectively a poison pill in one of the bills. I'm looking over at this screen. There's effectively a poison pill in one of the bills that was there a couple months ago, and I really kind of assumed that it would die in committee, but it's already passed through the Senate. So this is something we're all going to be concerned about. Hopefully, we can stop.
Okay, let me share it to one more place.
I know.
We got a few people joining us. All right.
Hi, Jim.
I think we're going up against. I think it's the Grammys tonight. So
As well as that, it's the first day of daylight savings time. So it's like an evening when there's sunlight and people might just be, it's a nice day and people might just be out with their families and so on.
it is
Um,
nice. It is nice
you know,
to look out back and see the sun is still up. I'm gonna have to get the motorcycle running so I can start going for my evening rides. It's been a while.
yeah. But like I said, any of you who know dispensary owners who are activist dispensary owners, this is going to be really relevant to those people. We need to get people on board with this.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. We've shared it to a few places. These people have been
Hi, Randy.
wonderful enough to share it to a few others. So let's go ahead and get started. You've got sharing ability if you want to show them the list. We put the list up on our website, okcla.org, for you guys to see what it was we were going to go over. The original list I put out with the post that we would be going live was just a quick list we came up with off the top of our heads, and it had some bills on there that hadn't moved through or hadn't moved off the floor. They moved through committee, but then didn't move after that. So this list is a little bit more condensed than that. These are ones we know still have life left in them. Some of those others could possibly still rear their heads, so they're worth keeping an eye on. But as of right now, they're not active to our knowledge. So Lawrence, why don't you go ahead and share the screen and let's get a look at our
Yep.
list.
Okay, first thing I'm going to do, hi Krista. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link on the notes here to the web page where we have all of the bills we're going to go over tonight. These are all the bills that have passed their respective chambers. There's other bills that have made it through committee that didn't get voted on because they didn't get the votes. That doesn't mean they're totally dead. They could still go through in the other chamber. But today we're going to talk about the bills that have already been passed in their respective chambers. And there's one in particular, Senate Bill 445, that is hopefully, sad to say, but hopefully it's going to scare all of you because it scares me.
Let's bring up the list.
So
okay?
We'll get to that. Yep. Sorry, let me do that. I've had a busy day. Here we go. Share. Okay, can you all see this PDF now?
Yeah, we can see it. And like he said,
Okay.
the link to this is in the comments, you guys. If you want to download this link, this PDF yourself, and when you download the PDF, it makes all the hyperlinks active, so you can click on them and go straight to the bill.
Yeah, and I just before the show updated all of the hypertext so that it'll take you to the most recent version, the version that has either been engrossed or is being referred for engrossment. And so let me go through it. Like I said, 445 is the one that really is scary that everybody needs to be attending to. But let me go through them. Some of them are really massive bills. There's a lot of moving parts. I'm not going to be able to go through all of the moving parts. There's good stuff, there's bad stuff, but I'm going to sort of today's show is overall going to be an overview of where things stand in the legislature right now and talk about a call to action regarding 445. So let me get started. All right. House Bill 2004, which is the big omnibus, which basically is the carryover from last year's 3228. And I'm just going to sort of run through some of the sort of key points of what it does. One thing it does is it provides for a 60-day out-of-state patient license. There's kind of redundancy to this because there's a few bills that are giving out-of-patient licenses, but it allows for a 60-day out-of-state license. And this is an important one that hopefully won't get changed. It removes the word misdemeanor. So individuals who get caught with 1.5 ounces of cannabis or less who don't have a patient card, they will hopefully, if this becomes law, it'll no longer be a misdemeanor. It'll just be a $400 fine, inclusive of whatever court costs there are. So in a way, that's a decriminalization. It's open to interpretation, however, because it doesn't explicitly say petty offense or civil infraction. It simply removes the word misdemeanor. So it's an open question whether or not it'll be a criminal offense. But that potentially is actually a decriminalization move. So it can be really a great thing. Next one, there's a provision that basically says that the caregivers, whatever they charge the patient, it can only be for the actual costs incurred. They can't charge for any kind of service. So if you're a caregiver growing for somebody, you could charge for the soil and for the nutrients and so on, for the electricity, but you can't have any kind of additional charge for your own expertise or something like that. It restates, and this was already in House Bill 2612, it restates that subdivisions cannot impose any additional charges on patients. So right now, what was the name of the town, Chris?
Heather, I can't even remember. It's a weird name. It's right over by the Arkansas border. I've got it on my page.
Yeah, it's like Heavener, something like that. The town of Heavener wants to impose.
Heavener, that's it.
How much was the? Was it a $50 fee?
It's a $50 fee, yeah, for the license. Yeah. Yes.
So a town wanted to impose a $50 fee for anybody who wants to do a home grow, and that would involve inspections of your home grow and so forth. Well, House Bill 2612 prohibits any jurisdiction from charging additional fees to patients. And likewise, 2004 restates that.
Yeah, so they shouldn't be doing that.
2004 allows,
The reality is they
yeah,
shouldn't be doing that to begin with. Someone just needs to have a sit down with their city council and explain to them that they're wasting their money in what's going to be a lawsuit, and hopefully that will just go
yeah,
away.
yeah. I guess since they call it heaven or, we can ask the question, what's after the or? If it's heaven or something.
Well, it's
All right.
HEAVENER.
Yeah, heaven or
No,
something.
it's NER.
Okay. All right. Heaven or.
All right, move on.
Let me move on. I'm making a joke. It allows for dispensaries to have pre-rolls. They can make their own pre-rolls. It deals with some of the issues having to do with the distance between dispensaries and schools. It allows vets with at least 25% disability to get a waiver from the marijuana excise tax.
No, now if you're on 2004, it says right there 50% disabled vets.
No, that's different.
That okay, so we've got 25 in one spot and 50 in another.
For two different things.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So Senate Bill 2004 does two different things for vets. One thing that it does is it gives vets with at least a 25% disability rating to get a tax waiver on marijuana purchases. The other thing that it does is for vets with at least a 50% disability, they only have to pay $20 for the patient card. I don't know why it's 25% for one and 50% for the other. 25% disability for one and 50% for the other, but it does those two things.
Both are a big
It
improvement.
sets out rules.
Both are definitely a good improvement. I'd like to see us move to where any vet with any disability gets the discount, but this is certainly an improvement over what was before. It was only vets of 100% disability.
Yeah. I would think that if it's 25% disability for the tax waiver, maybe it should be 25% disability for both. So maybe that's something to push your senators for. It fixes some of the issues with certificates of compliance. It adds to the language for ownership. So as you all recall, businesses, cannabis businesses have to be 75% owned by Oklahoma residents. Ownership could only be 25% out of state. And so what is an owner? And so it includes among those who are owners, anyone that gains at least a 10%, has a 10% profit, gains some sort of stream of income from whatever's being sold. And that could be licensing agreements, like if you're an out-of-state company like Chiba Chews and so on, and their products are sold in-state, made in-state. If the right to use the name Chiba Chew gives that company that's out-of-state at least 10% profit, then it becomes an owner of that business, according to 2004, one of the owners of that business. Quality assurance testing provisions to try to help make sure that the testing facilities are on the up and up. And also that if your physician rescinds your patient recommendation, which has been allowed for 2 years now, that is, it was already in 2612, that's a possibility. Your physician can rescind your recommendation. 2004 adds the provision then that it'll give the patient 30 days, if I recall, to get a new recommendation. So their card isn't immediately voided, but instead it gives the patient the opportunity to go to a new doctor to get a new recommendation if the previous doctor rescinds the recommendation. Excuse me.
Now that'll help you in the situation where if the doctor, say for whatever reason, gets himself in trouble and has to rescind all the licenses that he's written in the past. We've already seen situations like that where entire groups of patients have had to get a new card because of a particular doctor's signature. So having that 30 days there gives you a little cover.
Yeah. Or, likewise, let's say you're seeing a doctor, your doctor recommended cannabis, and you have a regular appointment with the doctor, and the doctor says, how's the cannabis working out for you? And then you go, oh, it's not really helping me, or, it's just, giving me lots of anxiety or whatever. Then the doctor decides to rescind your recommendation. And you find out your recommendation gets rescinded, and it bothers you because you still want to have, some place for it in your life. And your doctor won't agree to reestablish it if you can find a new doctor, circumstances like that. As well as that, it offers a mechanism for remediation for products that fail testing. So there's a lot of moving parts of 2004. I didn't cover them all by any means, but those are some of the highlights. Senate House Bill 2022. This, I think, is a fabulous one. And Chris, this is something that you pushed last year to get into 3228 last year. So it basically is carryover from that, which allows for non-Oklahoma residents from anywhere in the world, to come here and to get a 2-year patient card. Costs them $200.
Yeah, that is a great.
So basically, what we're
don't get me wrong, Lawrence. I'm thrilled to see that bill moving along. I'm hoping it continues and it passes. But I am bothered by the $200 price. I see absolutely no reason to charge a patient an extra $100 because they live across the border. But again, I'm happy to see the idea moving forward, and I look forward to it working for the people that need it. I hate to think that some of them are going to miss out because it ends up being $200. And are we giving the discount to out-of-staters for veterans and everything else? We don't know that. If we're not, well, then
I don't believe so. No.
Then that's going to be then that's simple. If you don't live here, it's going to be $200. That's a lot of money. But I'm glad to see the idea moving forward. Okay, so I have mixed feelings about that. Let's move forward.
But one thing about it, I think, is just fabulous because medicine should not be limited to any borders. There's that French organization, Médecins Sans Frontières, which is Doctors Without Borders, where we could say likewise, medicine without borders, right? That the people of Texas, the people of Kansas, there are people around the country beyond that who are still suffering under the boot of prohibition. And the idea that we as Oklahomans could help them, I think, is a beautiful thing.
Right. But we're going to charge them.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, let's move forward.
Okay. 2023, relatively minor stuff. Another sort of fiddling with issues having to do with school distance. And also it allows for, and this is separate from the CAPS bill. I'm not going to really get into the CAPS bill. It's very controversial. And there are a lot of things to say about it, but our focus is on something different. But 2023 also allows for a license transfer. Hey, Chris, we just lost your video. We just lost Chris's video. Well, I'll keep going. I'm assuming that I'm still live. I'm on my own here. Okay. So 2272, the notorious CAPS bill. 2272, the notorious CAPS bill. I'm not going to really get into that. I don't know if I'm live or not still. Can somebody let me know if I'm live? Am I still live? Okay, all right. Thank you, Norma. All right, I don't know what happened with Chris. Hopefully he will come back. All right, so CAPS bill I'm not going to touch. You guys have already heard a lot about it. It's uncomfortable, the idea that the government is going to restrict how many cannabis businesses there could be there are in the state. I'll just move on because that's a different issue that I want to deal with today. 2646 is another huge 100 and something page long bill. I'm not going to get into all the details, but just a few other things to bring up. it also has another option for non-residents, which is a 3-day permit, reciprocity permit. So if you're in a state, is House Bill 2023 in so much as dispensary license transfer?
Can you hear
Um,
me?
is
Can you
yeah,
hear me?
I can hear you, Chris.
Okay, I've
Yeah,
been gone for a while. I don't know what all I missed. My dog decided to unplug everything.
yeah, I
So,
can't see myself anymore.
okay, well, I still see you. Everybody else
Okay, all
does.
right. Glenn just asked about 2023 license transfer. Um, there is it, it does provide for license transfer. Sorry, just too many things going on. Let me just move on. 2646, a 3-day non-reciprocity permit for $75 that a dispensary could issue, which is kind of a surprising thing. So imagine you come in from another state and you go to a dispensary, you want to buy some cannabis, you have a cannabis card from another state, then you could pay the dispensary $75 for a 3-day permit.
That's
Odd
kind of
enough,
a
but
weird
that's
one. I
what's in the
don't know how
bill.
that's going to work out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I don't
very
know either.
strange. Very strange.
Very strange. I agree. Much better, of course, is the 2022, right? For $200, you get 2 years. It's like $75 for 3 days or for 2 whole years, $200. But
Right.
I think it's like an emergency thing. It's like you've come to Oklahoma, but you rely upon cannabis in the state that you're from. You could go to a dispensary and right on the spot get a permit there. I think that's the idea there. I
Well,
don't know what
everything that expands access is a good idea, I guess, but still a little strange.
yeah. And then 2646 also once again includes the providing for pre-rolls in dispensary, a grandfathering clause for distances between schools and dispensaries, and there'll be quality assurance lab tests to make sure that our existing labs are on the up and up. 2646 is moving the OMMA out of the Department of Health into the ABLE Commission.
No,
So ABLE Commission
that's
is
2674. You said 46 again.
I'm sorry,
2674.
2674 is to move the OMMA out of the Department of Health into the ABLE Commission, the Alcohol Commission. And so here's something just to think about. What does it say about cannabis if they move it from the Department of Health to the Alcohol Commission?
Well, I think the thinking behind it is that OMA is so much larger than Able, at least in their budget, and what they're bringing in tax revenue wise, that they're assuming OMA will take over Able. So it won't be so much that Able is influencing OMA as it is OMA is influencing Able. That's the thinking behind this.
So it'll be the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana and Alcohol Commission.
I don't know that it will change the name. I don't know about that. I'm thinking that they're thinking in the way that they work, you know, that there's so much more stuff they'll have to do that involves OMA than there is that will involve alcohol or anything that Able does now, that it will become such a larger part. It will be the influencer rather than the latter.
Right. You know, so I can understand how just in terms of just human management, right? Managing people within different wings of government, how it might make sense to put OMA somewhere else other than the Department of Health, right? But still, I think the sense is, as Randy is pointing out here, sinners, alcohol and drugs, right? So the point is, what is the message being sent? What is the message being sent about cannabis? If
Sure,
they move
what
cannabis,
what are the other workable options? I mean, I'm just to play devil's
standalone,
advocate here. What are the other workable options? The governor's made it clear he absolutely refuses to make it a standalone agency. So it has to be something. And at the Department of Health, it's the bottom of the rung of the Department of Health. It's where they go when they bring the new hires in. Once you show any good abilities, you're moved to another department. It's not their first priority. So
Department of Agriculture.
that there's an idea. Now we would have to keep in mind the current person running the Department of Ag apparently completely and totally despises cannabis, and is part of the reason why we don't have any hemp growing. But maybe we could overcome that hurdle too. And again, that person's only temporary. But you know, there's other issues too. I had a long conversation with Eccles about this, and we argued around about it for a while. I said some of the same things, including why not ag? So this was just the best they could come up with now for now. But I understand why the thinking here, that everybody thinks it's you know, another sin item that's going to be run by the people who handle the sin tax and everything else. I see the problems. I just don't know that there's any other solutions right now.
All right. Now, the big issue for tonight is really Senate Bill 445. And so I'm not going to get into that one yet. I'm going to go back to that one after I cover the last couple bills here on the list. Senate Bill 459, it's going to extend safety sensitive to volunteers and subcontractors. It's going to include law enforcement as safety sensitive, which you'd strike me as if you're carrying a gun, then that sounds logical. Handicap care and elder care. So they're extending the list of safety sensitive in 459. Senate Bill 522 is just to authorize the OMA to use third-party vendor services and some rules concerning that. Senate Bill 862 is basically that the smoking rules for government buildings apply also to medical marijuana. And Senate Bill 1033 is another one that has to do with the distances between schools and dispensaries, grandfathering in dispensaries with respect to all the distance rules. All right, so those are all the bills except for 455. So what I'm going to do now is, let me unshare this, and I'm going to open up 455 for you guys. So just give me a second here. Zoom out a bit. There we go. Okay, now let me screen share again. All right, can you see this?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what Senate Bill 455 does is it adds in something that might seem very innocuous, and I think a lot of people passed it over. Now, just if I might say it, I raised concern about this 2 months ago when this bill was filed, but maybe people just assumed that it would never go anywhere, but it has. It has already passed the Senate. And what it does in Section G is it adds in what looks like might just be the innocuous little phrase, in addition to any other penalties provided by law, penalties for sale by medical marijuana businesses to persons other than those allowed shall face these various fines. So existing law was, if you're a dispensary and you, for some reason or other, sold to somebody who didn't have a valid patient card, you would just face some fines. So imagine the following scenario. Let's say there's a patient whose brother looks very much the same, steals the brother's wallet, borrows the brother's wallet, goes down to the dispensary and shows their ID. The dispensary employee sells cannabis to this person, and then they walk out, and then somehow it comes to be known that that person who bought it wasn't actually the person who was the licensee. You know, he gets arrested for some reason, or he brags about it and the police find out. Guess what happens? It's no longer a simple administrative fine. If this becomes law, then it says, in addition to any other penalties provided by law. there'll be $1,000 fine. But guess what other penalties there are? If you are a dispensary owner, a dispensary employee, and you, for some reason or another, sell cannabis to a person who doesn't have a valid license, you become a felon. It's a felony with a minimum of 2 years in jail. Right now, the law is $1,000 fine. Oops, we got duped by this person's younger brother, or I misread something. I'm sorry. I thought it was approved in what the screen that I saw, but I didn't realize that the license has been expired or withdrawn from or whatever it was. I didn't notice it. I'm sorry. It was a mistake. Well, guess what? Instead of it being $1,000 administrative fine, it's now a felony with 2 years in jail. If you do it twice, rather than it just being a $5,000 fine, if you do it twice, it's a felony and you're considered a repeat offender, a habitual offender. And that adds to your sentence. Years in jail. To make
Now,
this even worse.
I'm sure this was designed to stop some of the nightmare stories we've all heard about dispensaries selling cannabis out the back door. And I've heard about it in just about any big city in the state. We've heard about it happening in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. I've heard about it on a regular basis. So I'm sure that they had an intent here on trying to stop something specific. But what they've done, as Lawrence has explained, is they've put everybody working that counter at extreme risk. And this does become kind of like alcohol in the sense that, like with alcohol and tobacco, they send in people who look a certain age, sometimes with a similar ID that isn't them, and they try and get you to see if you're not paying attention, and then you find yourself in handcuffs. So this is trouble. This could be trouble. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Again, I think I know what the thinking was behind it, but I can't see this making it all the way. I can't believe they would want it to be like this.
Yeah, imagine this. Imagine small towns all around the state. Small towns, counties, all around the state that are anti-cannabis. Think about how many sting operations there are going to be. Somebody has, they look like somebody else, so they go in with that person's license and they sell cannabis to that person. It looks like they have valid ID and they don't. Well, it's no longer just an administrative fine. It's now a felony. How many dispensaries in places like Rogers County will face that kind of sting operation under this law?
Yeah, Rogers County will not be good. Will certainly be a place this could be a problem, for sure.
Yeah, right. It takes, a lawful market, and again, it treats it as a criminal market. And let me add, to make it even worse, look at this. In addition to any other penalties provided under the Uniform Controlled Dangerous Substance Act, a first offense for intentional and impermissible diversion of medical marijuana concentrate or products by a patient or caregiver to an unauthorized person may be subject to an administrative fine of $200. So currently, the law is, if you're like, cousin is over, come on, please give me a hit, you don't got a card, man, I can't do it, come on, just one hit, give me a hit, and you share a joint with somebody who doesn't have a card. Current law is first offense, maybe worst case scenario, $200 fine. Second offense, $500 fine, and maybe they take away your license. So if you're a patient and you share your cannabis with somebody, $200 fine, $500 fine under current law. With this, in addition to any other penalties provided under the Uniform Controlled Dangerous Substance Act, it's a felony, 2 years in jail. So you as a patient, if you, and I see AJ saying intentional, yeah, it's my intention to share the joint with my cousin who's visiting. and somehow we're sitting on our porch and a cop sees it. It's now a felony if this law passes. So what this bill does, if it becomes law, is it turns what otherwise would be an administrative fine into a felony with a minimum of 2 years in jail for both businesses and patients. And it has already passed the Senate. If we don't stop this in the House, it will become law. Businesses throughout the entire state, all the employees, if they make a mistake, it's not a fine, it's a felony. And AJ says, does this mean that dispensaries shouldn't be letting non-card holders on the sales floor again? Well, maybe. Because what if I accidentally hand the bag to the wrong person, or who knows what? You know, me and my friend are standing there at the register. I forget, you know, I'm the employee. It's like I checked your card. I didn't check your card, but you're standing there too, and I just hand it to you. Felony. Not just $1,000 administrative fine, felony. And it's always been unclear if there are two patients beside one another, he shares a joint with him, right? It's always been unclear whether or not that would fall under the current $200 provision or whether that was a felony. Optimistically, if you share a joint with a friend who's also a patient, right, it's an intentional and impermissible diversion to an unauthorized person because what you bought is in your name. You're authorized to have this weed. That person's authorized to have that weed, right? It's like a prescription. You can't share prescriptions. So current law could be understood as if you share a joint in public and a police officer sees you, it's a $200 administrative fine. If this passes, it could be construed as a felony. You share a joint, it's a felony. Businesses, puff, puff, pass prison. That's right, Carl. So this is like a huge, huge step backwards. And I brought all this stuff out 2 months ago. I'm sorry for complaining. I brought all this stuff out 2 months ago and people didn't take action. And now it's passed the Senate. If we don't stop it, it'll pass the House.
Let me warn let me warn everybody. I spend a great deal of time, as a lot of us do, watching the floor when they're in session, and I was watching for quite a while last week, and I think it was Wednesday. I watched from home for about an hour and a half, and almost every single one of them that got their hands on the microphone talked about the complaints about cannabis they're getting every day from their constituents. So none of these people in the House had anything nice to say about this program at all. So stopping this is going to take some effort. So I suggest if everybody thinks they can get active, this is something to get active about. This needs to be halted.
So just make sure we all know Senate Bill 445. And so I think I saw Damon Beck up there a minute ago. So Damon, you understand, right? We need people to really spread the word about this. We need people to make really clear that this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable in a medical marijuana program to have a lawful business that by accident sells cannabis to somebody who is not lawfully entitled, for that to be a felony. I understand if you're intentionally diverting through the back door. I understand that maybe that could be treated differently. But the scenarios that I gave where, you know, somebody has a fake card, somebody has their brother's card, you accidentally hand the bag to the wrong person, and all those things, those should not be criminal. Those should not be criminal. Those should not be felonies.
All right, folks. Well, better be ready to make some phone calls tomorrow. I wouldn't bother calling the Senate about this when it's already passed the Senate. Call your House member. Let's see if we can do something to cause this to just go quietly into that night and
So,
not hear from it
you know,
again.
let me add, just give me 1 second here. Senate Bill 445, the House author on Senate Bill 445 is a man named David Hardin. David Hardin. He is the vice chair of the Criminal Justice Committee. Is there any coincidence that he is the author of a bill that returns us to felonies?
Yeah. All right. Well, the theme out of the Capitol this year seems to be remarkably on track for what we thought it would be. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I've got a dog going nuts to get out of her crate, and I've got some other things to do. You guys know what you need to do. We will keep posting about this. As Lawrence has put in the link, you can go to our website, and that has the list we've gone over tonight, as well as the link to each one of the bills and the most updated version of that bill. So get up and get active. It's not going to fix itself. You can see the intent here. And as I was saying, I watched enough last week to know that it's not just the Senate. Okay. It's not just the Senate. So things are not as peachy as some might think. Things are not going well. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up. Anything else, Lawrence?
I just want to make sure that don't sit on your hands on this one. This is one of those things where if we ignore it, it'll become law and people will be going to jail when they shouldn't be. This has to stop. The war has to stop.
We talked about this back at the beginning of the program when people were sharing on camera, and I started calling people privately and telling them, just reminding them this was illegal, and what it took for them to stop sharing on camera was to explain to them that if they weren't careful, DHS was going to show up at their door. And that was when everybody stopped sharing on camera. Now it doesn't matter on camera or not, they're coming after you. This is not a recreational program. This bill emphasizes that. So we better get active, folks. All right, that's it. Until next time, stay grumpy. See you on the road.